Hi everyone and welcome back to the Academy of Bel Canto. My name is Joseph Cianciulli. We are talking today about Coup de Glotte, and I know we've introduced Coup de Glotte, but we are going to go a little bit deeper into Coup de Glotte and the significance of Coup de Glotte today. So as always, the goal of Bel Canto singing, or at least the goal of the teachers teaching the Bel Canto approach to voice release and voice cultivation, would be that the sound is free and vibrating through the full spectrum of the range with very, very little effort. And what they found is that when the voice is free from muscular tension and the singer does not get involved with the sound, over time the sound grows and grows and grows. Now, when we talk about coup de glotte is a technique. Coup de glotte is a technique and a tool that is used to build a sensation in the singer of complete closure, starting tone from a complete closure of the folds when starting on a vowel. Okay, so coup de glotte does come from the posture, and this is something that is not taught in its entirety by the teachers today. Many teachers who understand a little bit of coup de glotte, they don't teach the approach from start to finish. So when you start, you do add a tuck with the belly. Yes, you do bring the belly in. And you do it because when you tuck the belly in, you give a gentle push, to the coordination that can happen naturally if you understand when you close the folds, like saying uh-oh, and you bring the sternum forward, naturally that coordination will happen. However, for most singers, because they're so disconnected from the lower body, even though they can talk about support, they're so disconnected from the lower body that doesn't happen naturally, and they end up muscling the opening. So one very important aspect of coup de glotte, which I noticed in a couple students recently, they were doing incorrectly. One tenet of bel canto, which we've talked about before, is purity of vowel. Purity of vowel comes from a certain shape in the mouth. Yes, in the tongue, in the embouchure. When you don't instill that shape in the singer before coup de glotte is actually encouraged, okay, it acts as almost a bit of a hindrance and can lead to muscular tension later on in their career. And the reason for that is what precedes the release of resonance must be the shape of the vowel that you're singing. So if you're singing if you're singing an vowel, so let's say actually take like an una furtiva lagrima, the u that you start, you would apply coup de glotte. You have to have the shape of the vowel before you start coup de glotte. You don't go ooh, and start it at the same time. No, there's a preparation that happens. You have to have the shape of the vowel. Una furtiva lagrima. You don't start at the same time morphing the vowel that the sound has to move through. It has to happen before. So when I start coup de glotte exercises, I oftentimes see students doing this. I'll say breathe in, let the descent of breath happen. You know the zipper effect, you stop the breath. Now while the breath is stopped, you have to give me the shape of or or e in the mouth, in the embouchure, in the tongue. Yes? And then you pulse. You don't do it at the same time. So I'll see them go No. No, the voice must be taught before that the vowels, the shape of the vowels, the posture of the vowels has to be ingrained in the body before you actually release the resonance. Because what does the sound have to move through if you don't have any shape in the mouth? Now, this is not to say a lot of singers coming from the newer schools are oftentimes already muscling in the pharynx. So oftentimes you'll have to encourage them to do something like blow out a little air before you start the sound. So you feel the intake of breath, but then you blow out just gently a little bit of air and then stop the breath. Now you have a more natural position in the pharynx, as opposed to a muscled, manipulated sensation in the pharynx, and the folds have a harder time finding that complete closure. So when we talk about coup de glotte, there is a system to applying coup de glotte. The first step is they have to have the breath coordination already ingrained in the body. If they don't know how the body is coordinating the breath naturally, or they're backwards breathing, or they're raising, clavicular breathing or thoracic breathing, they're going to have a very hard time applying these more advanced concepts. Number two, they have to have a clear understanding of what the vowels feel like. What do the pure Italian vowels feel like when they're being held without tension, but just with natural energy in the posture of the mouth? How do they feel? And the teacher is instrumental in establishing some sort of beneficial feedback to say, yes, that is, no, that is not. And one thing, teachers, that you will hear in students who are muscling, they're holding muscular tension in the voice in some way, is you will hear the vowel okay? This is something that can be very, very frustrating once you can hear it, because you'll hear it in a lot of singers. Is a sign that they are squeezing or muscling somewhere with some musculature in the neck, in the jaw, or in the face. Okay, it could also be extended to the upper pectoral region. So when you hear, for example, instead of a pure u, lu, lu, you hear lo, 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 lo. They're squeezing and muscling. If you hear instead of you hear they're muscling. They can have a shape, but the tongue is not holding the position of the vowel. This is why the tongue is the muscle of vowel. The tongue is especially or extremely important in shaping vowels. And you hear the in the when singers are used to muscling in the pharynx. I think for oo is the almost the worst one, because you hear oo. Once you hear that oo, or even an o, you hear the creeping in. They're muscling in the lower pharynx. Sound is getting caught in the back of the mouth. So you have to encourage. And now this is the kind of the catch-22. The sound starts here. Okay, so technically it starts here, and you have to have a sensation of it releasing from there. But when you get involved with the sound, it pulls it back. Yeah, and that's where you need purity of vowels when you're applying coup de glotte. If you don't have purity of vowels and you haven't established some sort of natural coordination and physical sensation to the natural coordination of breath in the body for the singer, you do not start coup de glotte. You will damage the voice. And I'm going to be very clear with anybody listening, and you can kind of poo-poo it. But I was told for years, going through exercises with Dan, this is very invasive. Do not do this at home. This is okay. You can sing this at home because I hear that you're not muscling. But if there was any muscle present being heard by the teacher, you were not to do those exercises. It was that simple. These are functional exercises, and for most singers that you have, if you try to use these, remember, we're building a sensation to simple release of resonance. A lot of them will be very, very turned off to the sounds they're making because they're not performance quality sounds. However, you're building a connection to the release of resonance, so when they go to the repertoire and they carry those same sensations to their full repertoire, they will feel much more freedom, and they always thank you in the end. So what is the process to applying coup de glotte? Coup de glotte starts with the posture and the breath, and also understanding the vowels. When you first take the student, it's oftentimes just on one note. Just coup de glotte and hold the note until it runs out with the breath. Let the breath run out. So you would just start, breathe in, stop the breath, give me the shape of the vowel, and then pulse with the belly. Pulse with the belly to release or open the folds, and don't get involved, but just release, simple tone. And it's going to sound very, very, very simple. Yes, a very, very, very simple sound. The next step, after you've done that a number of times, maybe a couple weeks, couple lessons, is then you can take them on two notes. What you're trying to do is you're trying to build a connection of the complete closure of the folds to release of resonance without them getting involved. Because a lot of singers you're going to see try to add vibrato, they try and manipulate the sound. Eventually, you can pulse twice. Yes, and you're basically working your way up 2/3. And then eventually you can do what I've heard other teachers teach, but incorrectly using an H, is the 1-3-5. And then eventually in time you can add the second turn. And then you can add the extension. And there's an extension beyond that. But what you're doing, is you're encouraging closure, release, closure, release, closure, release, but naturally. You're trying to bring complete closure naturally without getting involved in with the musculature around the folds. This is a very, very invasive work. So I need teachers to really understand. And if you have questions, reach out to us. This can damage voices because, like I think I said in a previous video, the new approach to voice is built off of muscle manipulation and imitation, and they do that because they're imitating the sounds that were coming before, whether they know it or not. A lot of these singers say, no, I'm not imitating that. I don't like those sounds. Yes, but your teacher, your teacher's teacher, and your teacher's teacher were all taught what bel canto was from the bel canto era, what the sound was, and then they started deviating to get faster and faster results. And what we have now is it's a byproduct of that deviation. So you have to understand with Coup de Glotte that you are not to muscle, to manipulate, and you really have to have an understanding of what's happening with the breath and the body first. Now, does the singer need to know that? No, they don't need to know about the diaphragm. They don't need to know about the necessarily how the belly is working, other than is the belly moving out when they breathe in, or in and in when they breathe out. As long as they're not backwards breathing, you don't want to confuse the singer. They will get in their head. You as the teacher need to have the confidence that you don't need to over-intellectualize everything. Okay? I do it here because I think it's important for the teachers to understand this, but for the singers, it's really not important. If they're learning to sing, they need to be involved with the physical sensations of what's happening. Now, if you want to bring their attention to appoggiare, the building up of appoggio, that's fine, but you don't want to get them overly involved intellectually in what's happening, because it will pull them from being able to release sound to then getting involved in the sound, and that will hold them back in the long run. So as always, this has been kind of an introduction, or a little deeper discussion on Coup de Glotte and the process that we take singers through when we are introducing Coup de Glotte. It is used in any piece of repertoire that you have to start a phrase on an open vowel, and it is a full technique, just like portamenti. So if I start again, una furtiva lagrima, in the beginning you may pause. Una furtiva lagrima. But eventually you can just bring the posture forward. Una furtiva lagrima. It's all about the posture and the connection of the posture to the release of resonance at the level of the folds. So, if you have any questions, reach out to us at vocalmastery1@gmail.com, or you can visit us on our website, www.academybelcanto.com.